Now, these are devastating and truly horrific allegations.
Prince William has ignited a royal firestorm after filing a shocking lawsuit against Queen Camilla, a move that has sent tremors through Buckingham Palace. Just as King Charles declared his abdication, William's legal action landed on the Royal Advisory Council's desk, accusing Camilla of overstepping her authority in ways that could upend the monarchy itself. Behind the palace walls, whispers of secret files, hidden motives, and family betrayal swirl relentlessly. So what drove William to challenge the Queen Consort so boldly? Stay tuned. The storm has only begun. The night the crown trembled. In the shadowed corridors of Buckingham Palace, where chandeliers cast fractured halos of gold upon the marble floors, whispers move faster than footsteps. The servants no longer speak in full sentences, only in fragments and glances. Something is unraveling behind those heavy velvet drapes. By October 2025, the air within the palace had grown tense and cold, carrying with it a secret too heavy for the walls to contain. King Charles III's illness, once whispered as fatigue, had advanced beyond recovery. The palace press office called it routine rest. But the courtiers knew better, and so did the one woman who feared losing everything she had fought for. Queen Camilla had weathered storms before: public hatred, scandal, exile in the court of opinion. Yet this storm was unlike any other. If Charles stepped down, as the doctors urged, her reign would vanish overnight. The crown she had clawed her way toward would be replaced by silence, and by the rise of her stepson, Prince William. That thought alone made her skin prickle. The moment the truth escaped, it wasn't through headlines or official statements, but through a careless door left ajar. Inside the royal library, beneath oak-paneled walls lined with ancient tomes, a secret council had gathered in the dim light of evening. The king sat at the head of the long table. His once commanding posture diminished, his words slow but resolute. "My strength has failed me. It is time William leads." The sentence, meant for a few trusted ears, drifted into the hall and into the life of Edward, one of Camilla's most loyal attendants. Edward's pulse thundered as he slipped away, his polished shoes echoing across the tiled corridors. Outside, the London rain fell in icy threads, drenching him as he hurried toward Clarence's house. For years he had carried Camilla's confidences, her secrets, her small cruelties wrapped in charm. But tonight he carried something far more dangerous, a revelation that could end her reign. Camilla waited alone in her chamber, surrounded by the muted glow of firelight and the scent of sandalwood. A half-finished glass of wine trembled in her hand when Edward arrived, breathless and pale. His words came out in stutters, but their meaning was clear. The king was abdicating. Her lips tightened, her eyes sharp and unblinking. For a long moment, the room was silent except for the hiss of rain against the window. When she finally spoke, her voice was a whisper edged with steel. "You are certain of this?" Edward nodded, and in that instant, her fear hardened into resolve. Every sacrifice she had made, the humiliation, the years spent in Diana's shadow, could not end in quiet dismissal. She turned toward the window, her reflection fractured by droplets of rain, and began to think. That night, the Queen's phone lines lit up. First a royal advisor, then a tabloid journalist known for discretion and debts. Her tone was calm, deliberate, almost regal. "We'll need to slow things down," she murmured. "Let the doctors review the treatment again." No rush beneath the surface of her voice was strategy, an invisible hand steering the timeline, bending it to her will. By dawn, documents had been delayed, calls redirected, and rumors refashioned. Those who served her noticed subtle shifts, a pause in legal filings, an unexpected press leak about encouraging medical news. Camilla didn't need confrontation. She needed confusion. The monarchy ran on order, and she understood that chaos was her greatest ally. Outside the palace, the fog rolled thick across the Thames, swallowing the city's edges in gray silence. Inside, the monarchy teetered, not because of illness or abdication, but because one woman refused to let go of the power she had finally claimed. The storm gathering that night was no longer just political, it was personal, and it had only just begun. But could one woman's calculated moves quietly tip the balance of an entire monarchy? Stay tuned to see how far ambition can reach when power and secrecy collide. Camilla's calculated moves. By the break of dawn, Camilla was already in motion, her mind racing ahead of the city waking beneath London's heavy gray sky. She had secured a meeting at a private Harley Street clinic, a place where discretion was as valued as skill, far from the prying eyes of courtiers and gossiping journalists. Sir Reginald Hawthorne, the royal physician who had overseen every stage of King Charles's treatment, waited in a room stripped of interruptions, his face lined with concern, and his hands betraying the weight of knowledge he carried. Camilla settled into her chair with unshakable poise, her eyes cold and calculating. She spoke with a sweetness that masked command, a voice weaving authority with seduction. "Sir Reginald," she began, "your dedication is unparalleled, but I know ambition drives you beyond duty. Recognition, prestige, a place among the aristocracy, all of it could be yours, with the right alignment." She laid her terms carefully. Manipulate the king's report, mark the cancer as temporarily stable instead of progressing, and allow her the weeks she needed to maneuver. A thick envelope of cash sat on the desk as both incentive and reminder. The doctor's fingers tapped the surface nervously, each sound a heartbeat echoing in the room. The risk was colossal. Falsifying documents for the crown could end a decades-long career, destroy reputation, even lead to imprisonment. Yet, Camilla had struck at his hidden desires, the longing to rise above a modest upbringing, to escape a lifetime of deference. After a tense silence, Sir Reginald nodded, his hand trembling as he accepted the offer. "I'll do it, Your Majesty." Only this once. Her lips curved in a knowing, cold smile, yet she pressed further. Memories long memorized from intimate confessions of Charles's youth became her instrument. Tales from Gordon Town, the harsh boarding school in Scotland where rain-soaked nights and relentless bullying forged a man outwardly strong but inwardly fragile, were now leverage. Every humiliation he endured, every moment of secret vulnerability had been etched into her mind. These details would secure her power and safeguard her ambitions. Camilla's strategy extended beyond mere deception. The falsified report bought time, and with time came opportunity, a push to ennoble her children, Tom and Laura, before Charles's abdication. Tom, sharp and ambitious, had already made his mark in business, while Laura, beautiful and intelligent, craved royal validation. Their elevation was her legacy, and she would tolerate no obstacle, neither illness nor loyalty, to impede it. When the meeting concluded, she rose, composed, every movement deliberate. Her plans were already unfolding: calls, legal maneuvers, threats subtle enough to avoid suspicion, yet potent enough to bend outcomes. Outside, London remained cloaked in mist, indifferent to the silent battle shaping the monarchy's future. Inside her mind, a tempest of calculation raged, each choice calibrated to protect her power and secure her children's place. Buckingham Palace, steeped in centuries of tradition, had never seen such a patient, precise player, and the game had only just begun. So, could one carefully crafted act of grief rewrite the fate of a monarchy? Keep watching, because what comes next will stun you. Shadows of the Throne. By mid-afternoon, Clarence House seemed heavier. the air thick with a tension that made the antique clock ticking in the hallway almost unbearable. Weak sunlight cut through the drawn curtains, casting long, pale lines across the room, highlighting every gaunt contour of King Charles III's face. He sank into the sofa, a king diminished by illness yet still tethered to duty, his voice fragile but resolute. "Camilla, I've decided. I will abdicate. William is ready and I cannot carry on. The pain, it consumes me." Camilla's seat was carefully chosen, opposite him, a posture of grief crafted with meticulous intent. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her voice shaking with the perfect blend of sorrow and devotion. "Charles, I understand. I've watched you endure sleepless nights, battled alongside you against this relentless disease, and it breaks my heart. But if you must step aside, then consider Tom and Laura. They are my children, my flesh and blood, and they deserve protection, recognition, a place in this world you've promised to care for them." Her hand gripped his, eyes glistening, attempting to awaken old affections and shared intimacy, to twist loyalty into concession. Charles's gaze softened for an instant, yet the weight of tradition anchored him firmly. "They don't carry royal blood, Camilla. I cannot compromise centuries of legacy. It would stain the dynasty, a mark history would never forgive. I cherish Tom and Laura, but the throne isn't personal. It is a responsibility." The words landed like a hammer, shattering her composure. Camilla's mask of mourning slipped, revealing the steel beneath. Her lips tightened, eyes flashing with fury honed over years of ambition. Rising, she spoke with the precision of venom, a serpent concealed in silk. "Then England will know of Gordontown. The nights soaked with water, ears pulled, rugby fields turned into mud pits of humiliation, the solitude, the abandonment by your father, your mother powerless, Uncle Mountbatten sneaking in to console while urging endurance to become a man. How do you wish the headlines to read, Your Majesty? A timid boy hiding in dorms or a brave prince who survived?" The threat pierced Charles, dredging decades of buried pain. His hands gripped the sofa, knuckles white, body trembling as rage and shame warred within him. "Camilla, you can't. That is my past, shared with no one but you. I need time. Do not corner me." His voice cracked, revealing the vulnerability of a king confronted by betrayal from the one closest to him. Camilla lifted her chin, moving toward the door with deliberate triumph, her footsteps echoing like a challenge on the polished wooden floor. She did not notice the shadow behind the door. Prince William, visiting from Kensington Palace, had arrived earlier and overheard nearly every word. His chest tightened, blood boiling with indignation as he watched his father falter beneath her manipulations. In that instant, William swore silently to himself that Camilla's schemes would not dismantle the family, tarnish the throne, or betray his father. He would wield the law, the court of public opinion, and his own determination to expose her treachery and protect both his father and the monarchy. But could a single overheard conversation ignite a battle that threatens the crown itself? Stay tuned to find out. Web of Deception. A week after Clarence House learned of King Charles III's intentions, a report arrived declaring his condition temporarily stable. The document, stamped and signed by the palace's medical office, stunned advisors into silence. No one dared question the findings, yet William, sharp and intuitive, sensed a deception hiding beneath the clinical words. With metastasized cancer, rapid improvement was impossible. He summoned Sir Malcolm, head of his personal security detail, giving terse instructions. Trace the origins of this report. Keep tabs on Camilla's family. Something isn't right. Malcolm's eyes narrowed. He nodded without hesitation, already calculating the next moves. His team, a cadre of elite surveillance experts armed with the latest technology, began shadowing Laura Parker, Camilla's daughter. They traced her to a modest cafe near Victoria Station, its wooden chairs worn smooth by decades of commuters, the scent of fresh coffee mingling with the city's damp air. The cafe owner, Mrs. Ellis, friendly but observant, was discreetly persuaded to provide audio from a hidden camera behind the counter. Within moments, the team captured Laura's words. Golden hair gleaming under the neon lights, voice low yet laced with excitement, recounting the intimate torments of Charles's youth, details of his nights at Gordontown, his bullied childhood, and the neglect of Prince Philip. "Mother knows every secret," Laura whispered, eyes bright with ambition. "If stepfather refuses, the truth must reach the front pages. The public deserves to know how weak he once was, a king reduced to tears in a dormitory." Across the room, a Daily Mail journalist scribbled furiously, promising a story that would shake the monarchy. William, locked in a secure room at Kensington Palace, listened to the recording, jaw tightening, fury coiling like a spring in his chest. Betrayal cut deep, but the situation worsened as surveillance tracked Tom Parker to Manchester, a city of gray skies and rain-slicked streets. There, Tom met with Derek Hale, a sound engineer of dubious ethics, in a cramped suburban studio. Disheveled and sharp-eyed behind thick glasses, Hale was paid handsomely to replicate Charles' voice, capturing the signature timbre, the refined cadence, and the subtle inflections of a monarch. The fabricated recording declared Charles's supposed final wish, to ennoble Tom and Laura as gratitude for Camilla's devotion. The deception was perfect, crafted to manipulate public sentiment and designed to frame William as the villain should Charles refuse. William's mind raced as he absorbed the depth of the scheme. Camilla's family was no longer acting within private ambition. They had weaponized public perception, creating a narrative to undermine him, betray his father, and manipulate the monarchy itself. Each calculated move, the falsified medical report, Laura's whispered threats, Tom's engineered recording, formed a web of deceit stretching across cities, institutions, and media channels. A network designed to trap the royal family in a scandal of their own making. Alone in his office, William gripped the dossier, the thick leather pressing into his palms as his stomach churned. He could feel the weight of centuries of royal legacy pressing down, threatened by ambition and cunning disguised as loyalty. The betrayal was intimate, personal, and precise, exploiting vulnerabilities long known only to Camilla and her children. Every secret weaponized, every trust manipulated, turning the palace and public opinion into a stage for coercion. William understood that confronting this would require strategy, patience, and precision. Legal avenues, controlled media exposure, and careful monitoring of Camilla's inner circle were no longer optional. They were essential to protect his father, safeguard the monarchy, and preserve the fragile legacy of the crown. In that moment, William's fury sharpened into focus, resolve replacing shock. The monarchy was under siege not by external foes, but by the machinations of those closest, and he would not allow history to be rewritten by deception. Every lie, every manipulation, every calculated betrayal would be met with unrelenting scrutiny. Camilla and her children had pushed too far, and William now held the instruments to unravel the carefully crafted illusion, to defend the throne, and to reclaim the truth before it was irreversibly lost to the public eye. But could one carefully planted lie unravel an entire monarchy from within? Keep watching to see how the secrets unfold. Shadows of strategy. Even as William's investigation tightened around Clarence House, Camilla moved with the poise of a woman who had weathered countless storms. Rumors fluttered like restless birds through the palace corridors. Loyal servants whispering over tea, courtiers exchanging anxious glances, and she caught every nuance, every hint of suspicion. Fear rippled through her, but instinct sharpened into calculated resolve. She reached out to an old ally, Lord Harrington, a silver-mustached aristocrat with ties to Charles from William's youth. Beneath the flickering candlelight of a countryside manor, the aged noble, gently swaying under the influence of vintage wine, recounted William's fragile years after Princess Diana's death in 1997. "He withdrew from the world," Harrington murmured, voice quivering. "Sleepless nights, nightmares replaying car crashes, bursts of anger, even destructive impulses. Only a top psychiatrist could guide him through the shadows." Camilla's eyes glittered with intent. She saw the chance to twist history into a tool for her advantage. That night, she arranged a secret meeting with Sir Reginald Hawthorne in a dim Soho pub, where soft jazz mingled with the aroma of roasted coffee beans, masking their conversation. In a voice both commanding and seductive, she instructed him to draft an addendum to William's sealed medical file, carefully detailing recurring paranoia, obsessive tendencies, social withdrawal, and judgment clouded by past trauma, crafted vaguely enough to evade direct litigation, but potent enough to seed doubt about his ability to rule. Sir Reginald hesitated, fingers trembling as he signed the forged documents, aware of the peril, yet enticed by the promise of wealth, prestige, and a higher medical post. Camilla's plan was precise. Transform William from revered heir into a figure of instability, ensuring that any accusations he might levy against her or her children would be dismissed as delusions. Back in her Clarence House chamber, under the glint of crystal chandeliers, she held her wine glass like a scepter, pride mingling with calculated fear. "William thinks he can unseat me," she murmured, a smirk curling her lips. Yet, unbeknownst to her, Malcolm had tracked the meeting, every word recorded, every transaction documented. The evidence would soon become a weapon against her, turning her carefully laid trap into a misstep of monumental consequence. Tension coiled through the palace, an invisible storm building as Camilla's mind shifted from triumph to caution. Summoning Tom and Laura with a measured whisper, she outlined preparations for what was coming, her ambition blazing brighter even as anxiety crept in. The pieces of her machinations were in motion, but the chessboard had changed, and a counterplay was already taking shape, threatening to expose every secret, every manipulation, and every betrayal. So, could a single act of deception topple an entire royal legacy? Stay tuned to see how hidden betrayals and carefully laid traps threaten to rewrite everything inside Buckingham Palace. The Reckoning of Clarence House. Weeks of silent vigilance and shadowed observation had culminated in a single, decisive moment. William sat alone in his Kensington Palace office, the soft glow of a desk lamp cutting through the evening gloom, illuminating a thick dossier crammed with irrefutable evidence. Laura's whispered confessions, captured on tape, Tom's meticulously forged recording of the King's voice, and Sir Reginald Hawthorne's doctored psychiatric addendum. His pulse thrummed with controlled fury, every memory of his father's gaunt, weary face fueling his resolve. "It ends now," he murmured, voice low but steely, signaling to his aide to summon both the journalist and the sound engineer immediately. The inquiry was arranged discreetly within Buckingham Palace, a room lined with dark oak panels and hidden cameras, the atmosphere taut as if each breath carried judgment. James Whittaker, a seasoned journalist with a gray mustache, trembled in his chair as he recounted Laura's manipulation. She detailed every torment from Gordontown. He confessed, voice quivering. The cold water, the ear yanks, the nights of silent sobbing before Uncle Mountbatten. Tom confirmed it with documents meant for publication. William listened in silent rage, absorbing each betrayal, each scheme meticulously orchestrated to tarnish both him and his father. Derek Hale, the sound engineer, faced the panel next. guilt etched into his features, he admitted swiftly, "Tom paid me £50,000 to imitate the king's voice. A family keepsake, he called it." The recording was flawless. Charles's hoarse-toned diction, royal cadence, every inflection copied to perfection. Malcolm, William's chief of security, meticulously logged every detail as Hale handed over the evidence. The weight of the deception pressed upon the room like the London fog seeping through the palace windows. With the dossier complete, William forwarded it to the Royal Advisory Council, convened in secret in Buckingham's library. The charges were stark and damning, falsifying medical records to manipulate the abdication timeline, forging the king's voice to sway public opinion, leaking private royal secrets, and deliberately corrupting William's own psychiatric profile to undermine his legitimacy. In his private quarters, Charles pored over the evidence, hands shaking, eyes brimming with a mixture of grief and fury. "How could you betray me like this?" he whispered, voice breaking under the weight of decades of hidden struggles and recent suffering. That afternoon, beneath London's faint grey sunlight, Charles executed the final act of justice, signing Camilla's divorce papers. No ceremony, no witnesses, just the scratch of pen against antique wood. At Clarence house, Camilla received the news through a neutral messenger. She read the single, decisive sheet, face paling, then collapsed to the floor, tears flowing freely, not as an act of defiance but as genuine recognition of a lifetime of scheming undone. She hugged her knees, body shuddering under the bitter realization that the throne, her ambitions, and years of careful manipulation had crumbled beyond repair. From Kensington, William watched the distant storm of Clarence House, knowing his counterstrike had succeeded. Yet amid victory, his chest tightened with the weight of family tragedy, the consequences of betrayal echoing in every shadowed corridor of the palace, heralding a reckoning whose effects would ripple through the monarchy for years to come. But could a lifetime of scheming be undone in a single stroke of justice? Stay tuned to see how the truth came to light. The fall of Clarence House. Whispers of the divorce spread like a creeping fog through Buckingham and Windsor, winding past ancient corridors and portraits of monarchs long gone. Courtiers exchanged uneasy glances over teacups, anxious that the scandal could shake the centuries-old pillars of the monarchy. Outside, the public remained oblivious, but within the palace, tension hung heavy, as if the very walls held their breath. Camilla, once the center of intrigue and ambition, departed Clarence House in utter silence. A plain black car waited, engine humming softly, blending with the chill of London's autumn wind. Her silver hair whipped against her pale face, eyes red and hidden beneath dark sunglasses, tears tracking unheeded as she cast a final glance at the home that had symbolized both her power and her deception. Every lavish party, whispered scheme, and carefully cultivated influence now seemed a fragile illusion, shattered in one decisive blow. Her footsteps echoed briefly, leaving behind only shadows and the faint scent of aged perfume that had once marked her dominance. Meanwhile, Laura Parker sat in the stern offices of the royal legal team near Westminster, confronted by the damning audio evidence of her own making. Each word she had whispered about King Charles's childhood, the nights of bullying at Gordontown, the cold water dumped on him, the humiliations endured silently, stung now as sharply as the day she recorded them. She clutched her skirt, tears brimming, murmuring, "I just wanted to protect Mother, our family." But the lawyers remained unmoved, detailing potential criminal charges and the wider probe. Her brother Tom fared worse. Stopped at Heathrow while attempting to flee to France, his passport seized, career in shambles, and reputation in tatters. Publishers withdrew offers, TV appearances vanished, and whispers of royal betrayal followed him like a shadow as he sat alone in his Chelsea flat. Rain streaking the windows, reflecting the cold, relentless consequences of ambition turned against him. All evidence, meticulously compiled, emails, recordings, forgeries, rested in a sealed investigative file at the royal court, its crimson stamp a stark reminder of ambition undone. William, undeterred by senior advisors pleading for delay to avoid scandal, filed a formal suit at London's High Court. "If we tolerate lies in the palace, this throne means nothing," he declared, eyes blazing, voice firm, insisting on justice for the kingdom's future. Charles, frail yet resolute, approved, ordering the restoration of full medical and media records. In a rare public statement, the truth was laid bare. Metastasized cancer, no cure, dispelling rumors with his voice steady yet courageous. A week later, the abdication proceeded, this time without Camilla. In Buckingham's grand chamber, under crystal chandeliers illuminating ancestral paintings, Charles glanced at William, a proud, weary smile softening his features. "Hold the crown with truth, not fear. My son, you'll be a great king, far better than I." They embraced tightly, tears marking the end of a turbulent era where love, betrayal, and power had intertwined, leaving William feeling the final warmth of his father's enduring presence. A lasting reminder that justice, though hard-won, could finally prevail. So what drove Camilla to risk everything for power? And could William's decisive strike fully secure the monarchy's legacy? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.